Hey guys, Grix here, and it's time for another Boomer tutorial in Chapter 3. If you guys are here, hopefully it's because you guys didn't really skip a step. But if you guys are here, that means you are definitely a dedicated Boomer enthusiast. So I am here to explain to you what low angle is all about, and it's a skill to have, especially when you're playing in blind wins or just in uncertainty times or uncertain times. Sorry. I usually shoot low angle for my personal reasons because either one, I'm running out of time, or two, I can't see the line. But for you guys, it might be a whole different set of excuses. So until then, let's get on with shooting low angle, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Hey guys, welcome back to Chapter 3 of the Ultimate Boomer tutorial. Today I am going to talk to you guys about shooting low angles, and by low angles I mean, you might not even get a super, or you might not even get a sky shot, but it's a guaranteed hit. And the way I see Boomer is I'd much rather have a guaranteed hit than to have a very high chance of missing if I am not certain what the count is. Alright, so first, before we begin, just a full disclaimer, guys. I know this whole or these tutorial chapters may be very long for you, and if you guys don't have the patience for that, then I can't really help those who don't want to help themselves. Boomer is a very special tank on its own, with uniquely designed, so there are lots of rules and logic that follows with that. And with that being out of the way, let's go into shooting low angles. Now first, with low angles, let's imagine, okay, use your imagination, guys. The wind is question mark, meaning your first turn, blind wind. Up and down, meaning perfectly north or perfectly south. To ensure that you land a hit, all you have to do is remember this transform marker I keep talking to you about, right? If it is a blind wind, honestly, you just point it right on top of that motherfucker, right in the center, right? And you will hit every single time, whether it's north or south. Alright, this rule only applies, and I say this because in chapter 1, I talk about it, the 15 space rule, right? And just for you guys to know, this transform marker is basically 50% power of what Boomer can normally shoot. I say normally mainly because if you were to yank the bank all the way up high, that can go up to maybe a little bit past 200%, right? Maybe 175% of what the actual wind count is. And of course, on a regular game, if you were to shoot like long angle, a long range and all that, this marker is about 60% of what the wind is actually indicating. So I like to say it is about 50% of what Boomer can shoot. Okay, it isn't 50% power ratio. That's not what I'm saying. It's just 50% of what Boomer can shoot. All right. So, like I said before, if the wind is perfectly south or north, north or south, right, you just aim that little transform marker right on top of your target and you will always hit. Now, if you remember in chapter 1, I did talk about the spaces between 0, which is right under you, and about 7.5, which is maybe a little bit over, because this is about 6, maybe not even 6. Let's see here. Maybe that's about 7-ish. And maybe that's 6.5. Anywho, if you're within this range, guys, it's all about experience and how much seat time you're putting on your Boomer. You're gonna notice the white line being approximately at that point. If, let's say, it's no longer blind wind, there's no way your opponent is going to be right beside you, like where my Desto is on a blind wind. But let's say you do know what the wind is, and I'm just going to be overly exaggerating at 12, which is the highest. You no longer can put the the marker right on him, because just the physics of what's happening here, and I will explain. Let's imagine that the wind is perfectly south going down at 12, okay? I want you to imagine what we're trying to do here. If I put the lines as if they are now, what ends up happening is, because I know the up-down wind, south and north wind, doesn't affect the red line all that much. It's the horizontal wind that really affects the red line swaying left or right, like your dad's elongated ball sack, right? If it's north or south, same thing. It does not affect the your dad's ball sack swaying left or right. It just makes it go up or down, right? So I want you guys to imagine that a little bit, because if, let's say, the wind is perfectly down at 12, what ends up happening is you're going to have to move the crosshair behind the tank about 2 spaces. Why? Because on a full scale at 100%, I would move it 4 spaces, but because I'm only shooting it at 50% of what Boomer can shoot, I divide that by 2, obviously, and so it is 2 spaces. But you might think, but Grix, why? For normal tanks, right, usually downwind, or sorry, oh, no, sorry. You move the 2 spaces in front. See, I got it mixed up. For normal standard tanks, you move the crosshair behind if the wind is down, and you move it in front if the wind is up. Boomer is totally reversed in that matter. All right, so imagine if the wind is perfectly south right now, right? What ends up happening is the white line gets pushed down, but because the red line is not affected, what ends up happening is the white line just goes down, right? And then it ends up lining up perfectly the way it should, right? Same thing if it was upwind, right? If it was north wind, you would want to move the crosshair like to behind, because what ends up happening is, again, the white line is pushed up, hence making the red line line up with your target. All right, that is something to know in a low angle, because Boomer, you can't shotgun it. It doesn't work. Otherwise, it won't even transform, and you end up doing 100 damage, and then you look like a fucking fool. So that is one thing to note about super close range when you are shooting what I consider it to be low angle, which is under that transform marker. Anything else I wouldn't need to add is when you are shooting on a normal scale, right? I'm gonna give you guys a chart at the end of this video so that you guys can see. All right. I say the transform marker here is roughly 50% of what Boomer can shoot. All right, this mark right here. Ideally, just because it's 50%, if you remember in chapter 2, that power ratio and wind ratio does not mean anything. They are not, like, they don't work side by side all the time unless it's a standard tank. If you're shooting 50% power, right, at the wind ratio 1:1, you have to adjust for that, right? So then if your power is at 50% and your wind ratio, let's say, is perfectly east at 4, right? If you're shooting low power, it doesn't mean you can just move the ruler 4 in front of the tank. It'll hit. You gotta account for that 50% deficiency. So instead of 4 spaces, you move it only 2, because again, you're shooting 50%. With Boomer, it's a little different because the power ratio can vary from 0 to about 175%, which is why Boomer is very, very difficult to play as a full power shooting tank. I wouldn't recommend that. It's it's very finicky. You have to. It's even worse than Mage or Trico in my experience. But where the transform marker is 60% of what the wind ratio or wind is indicating. So if the wind ratio is 1-to-1, like because of the direction, right? Let's say it's 10. That this transform marker is 60% of that. So what I mean by that is if the wind is east direction, right? You have tailwind with you, or even if it's west for that matter, and you want to shoot low angle because of whatever reason it is. For me, again, like I said before, it's because I'm running out of time, or I just can't see the white line. I can only see, or the red line for that matter, I can only see that stupid little dot. Obviously, I'm going to line it up and shoot whatever I can in order for me not to be behind a turn, right? So if the wind is 10, honestly, I just use a little bit of math, and it's the multiplication of 6, right? What's 10 times 6 is 60. You move the decimal over, then it is 6 spaces. What if it's 11? Well, then it's 66. Move the decimal over, it's 6.6. You can move it 6.5, that's fine. But if you aim 6, you're gonna miss. If you aim 7, you're gonna miss. All right, so 6.5. What if it's 12? Well, same thing. 7.2, move the decimal over, and it's 7.2. Again, I'm gonna give you guys a chart just so you know. I personally, started off playing Boomer, shooting at this transform marker. That's really, really key and vital in order for you to understand how Boomer works, so that you can gradually level up and move on over to the Super Skies, which is Chapter 4. Another thing to note is you always need to, not want to, but you need to align the transform marker horizontally to your target. If you're off by that, guess what? You're going to be off all that much. And I explain a lot more in Chapter 4 why that is. But for this matter, because you're just learning out Boomer, you want that transform marker to line up exactly in line with your enemy tank. All right. So again, if it was a diagonal wind, right? Let's say it's a little bit upward of east, right? It's still the same. The ratio to that, reading the wind indicator is still whatever the number is, you times that by 6, right? What about, hey, Grix, let's say it is, I don't know, let's say it is perfectly what it is now, 7 south, but a little bit towards east. What do I do then, right? So in a 100% wind ratio scale, I would say that number is indicating about 3.5 or 4, right? If that is the case, I divide that by times that by basically half at that point, right? And so what I would do is literally just have the crosshair maybe about 2 in front, right? Because ideally, what do I need to know, right? I just need to know the number, which is about 3.5. So 35 times 6, God, I don't even know, but I'm just gonna round it up. Let's say it's 4. 4 times 6 is 2.4. But because I already rounded up, I need to round down a little bit, and maybe 2.2, 2.1, I don't know, I don't care. Because that 0.1, 0.2, not gonna make a difference whether but it will manage the hit. It will not make a big enough difference for me to miss. So basically, if you see here, if I shoot, you will land perfectly, and oh, perfect, nice, I smacked the perfect. So the difference between identifying the wind number or what the actual indicator is very, very important. I know, I recall I explained a little bit on chapter 2, but I explained a little bit as well in chapter 4, right? Just because the number indicates 7, it doesn't mean it's 7. The direction dictates what it means, right? If it's perfectly in certain directions, yes, 7 is 7. It won't be 8, it won't be 9, it won't be 6. 7 is 7. But if the direction is more of the in the diagonal section, then it reduces by increments of 10, 20, 30, 50% and all that stuff. So for you guys to know, it's very important. Like based on this direction alone, I would say it is about 50% of whatever that number is. If that number is 12, aiming with that direction, I would say it's about 6, right? The indicator is showing 12, but the actual measurement is 6, right? So it's a lot of just playing the game to know how to find what the actual number is, without just saying, oh, the indicator is 12, fuck, I'm fucked, right? It's not. It's more so about fractions, percentages, and also a little bit of math. If math is not your strong suit, not to worry. I'm gonna give you guys a chart right now, just so you can kind of remember it, and I don't know, use it, put it on a sticky pad. I don't know what it may be, but tattoo it on your arm if you're really that addicted to this game and you're having trouble with math. I don't know, but aside from that, that is it for chapter 3. It's a very, very short chapter, and from then, now on, I think it's going to be a smooth sailing ride until chapter 5, where I do have to explain a little bit more. But in terms of shooting low angle, there really is not much else to it. But before I switch on over, I think there is one more thing I need to talk about. So give me 1 sec. Just let me quickly get back to my Boomer's turn, and then I will show you. So another thing to note is with Boomer, remember that transform marker I keep talking about? Okay, so that's 60% of what the that should be 60% of whatever the actual wind is for that time, if you're lining up perfectly horizontal to your target. But let's say it is, I don't know, there's shit in the way and I just need to shoot super low angle. What do I do then? Well, it's very, very easy, because I just want you to know, alright? Transform number 1, transform number 2. You see this line right here? Halfway in between it, right? I would say that dot right here that I just covered, that one, peekaboo, right? That's about 30%. So it's actually quite easy to figure things out. What's 30% of 12? Honestly, 36. So, move the decimal over, 3.6. If you are shooting low angle, I would move it 3.6, whether in front or back, depending on the wind direction. Again, that's only if you're super not confident, you want to shoot low angles. You literally just do math. So really, what you really need to know is 30%, 60%, 75%, 100%, 150%, 125%, 150%. So with Boomer, like I said, it's not a tank for you to play to shoot at full power. I mean, yes, people do that. I don't know how they can do that consistently, because it's just a lot of thinking and math involved because of distance, right? Because as you can see here, the closer I am the longer that red line. And remember, like a pendulum swing, the longer the pendulum is, the more it needs to be accounted for at the bottom of the pendulum. So if the target is far away, that means the pendulum shortens, then I need to calculate that. If the enemy is close, the pendulum is elongated, then I need to account for it. It's just too much of a distance game if you are going to play Boomer as a full power Boomer. I don't recommend it ever. I recommend you knowing and understanding the concept of it so that you can shoot your SS, but in order for you to get to SS, you still need to land your hits. So that is one thing I would highly recommend you to do, is to take gradual steps for you to get to that level. I know the Sweatlords, they play Boomer like for literally 2,000 plus games in a month, and they only play their own main tanks. There's a reason why. For me, I like to switch it up so that I don't end up hating the tank. Different reasons when it comes to you guys, of course, but for me, I like to just shoot high enough just to get my sky reward, just to get that extra 7 damage bonus, and kind of get out. Like that ain't Falco. I think, you know, he did say smart words, wise words, which is just shoot it high enough to get what you need, and then yeah, because any higher, you're not gaining anything out of it. You're just compensating, or you're not gaining anything for nothing. So basically, you're risking a lot for nothing. The risk to reward is just not there. So that's my key advice for you if you're learning and starting out Boomer. Again, start at the horizontal line, horizontal to the tank, 60%, all that stuff. And just remember, when you are shooting up close, you will have to account for the wind moving the white line up or moving the white line down, depending on the wind direction. And again, if the wind is blind at north or south, I consider that as a free hit. Just aim it right on the target. You will always land. You will always hit. And yeah, that's it for chapter 3, guys. Not a lot here, but it's very important information for you to know if you are starting and learning Boomer. I hope to see you guys in the next upload, which should be tomorrow, with chapter 4, and that chapter will explain a lot more about shooting super high angle. I mean, if you want to play full power Boomer, I do talk about it. So yeah, look out for that video. Until then, keep on sniping and hope you land your one-hit shot. Yeah, please don't do it on me though. If you see me, please, mercy. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.